This is lab assignment 7 for DIGM 2350. So let us go ahead and start by locating the files. They're under public, lab assigned 7. So go ahead, and you should have been already connected if you look at extra credit. If not, connect to the public and then navigate to lab materials, DIGM 2350, lab assigned 7. Now, do not open anything directly. What I want you to do is to copy lab assigned 7 to your directory. Okay, so go ahead and copy it. Just move the whole thing wherever you save it. If it's under your name, put it there. Okay. Once you copy it, that's the wrong assignment. So once you copy that lab assignment, I want you to create a new folder in it. That's the folder you'll be submitting. Okay, so name your folder, your last name, first name initial, underscore, assigned 7 underscore, and the lab M1, M2, Wednesday, W, whichever one you are, you want to name that, or W at the end. Okay, so this is where we will be saving the files. You also have, once you name the folder, you just put a new folder inside it. Now, once you have the new folder, there is in the folder that you just copied, there is lab assigned 7 completed. So you can kind of see how it's supposed to look like when you finish. Now I'll be more precise when I show you in the lab, because I wasn't very precise with this one. At home, I was quick. So this is kind of what we're doing. Do a little image composite, and you notice how the things are blended inside of it. Now yours might not look exactly like this because you might be using different colors, but this is a good example to look at. Okay. So I will be navigating through Bridge, and I want you to use Bridge to do it. You can go through your name or directly if you need to. And go ahead and go. Notice you have part 1 and part 2. You also have instructions. There's slight difference changes to the instructions when you work with it because of just like small 2 changes to it, not really big ones, but it will affect the way the images will be showing. So, but you can follow along. And the assignment, oh, that's the extra credit there. The assignment has 2 parts, and then both parts, part 1 and part 2, I gave you images for. So you have part 1 images and you have part 2 images. Okay? So you should be set with your images. If you go to this website, I already gave you the images. You don't need to find them. Some of them are not even showing there. Okay? And this second part was written few versions ago, I think in Windows, but the thing that they've done, the layer masks have been around forever, so it's not something new, so it still works well. All right, so we will start with the first part. So go ahead and open legs from part 1 images. I accidentally moved one of my files. I need to move it back. So open it up. Now, hopefully this comes up, so I'm assigning it the profile. If it doesn't, ignore it. Okay, when it comes to selections, we'll be discussing selections next time. We'll be doing masking, since we're going to be working with masks. And there are different kinds of masks. There are quick masks that you do quickly, then they appear as a selection, and then when you're done, they're gone. And there are permanent masks, or not permanent that destroys the image, but permanent where you can reuse them. And that's alpha channels. Okay. Anybody work with alpha channels before? Okay, cool. So for the quick mask, what I need you to do is, now when you do mask, you want to get close. Pixels are not forgiving, right? So we are going to click on, look at the tools. You see that little button in the bottom left? or the command key, the shortcut key is Q. This is the quick mode. Quick masking mode. Quick. Click it. If you click it, you should have black and white. Okay. What we're going to do, we are going to mask out the shoes and the legs. When you mask out something, are you revealing it or are you hiding it? Hiding, right? So that's why black hides. Now let me give you a few tips on this one. Now, number one tip, and this is because what I work with it, and I've noticed I work different ways for different class, and I've noticed what works best. Okay, you want to start now. Look on top on your brushes. Okay, like top here. That's a little too big. You don't want to have too small brush. Now my hardness right now is 0%. I don't know what yours is. We're gonna make it 100%. Okay. 100%, it means the pressure is applied 100% at a time. It's very crisp and sharp. So if I click on it, you see it's crisp, right? Now notice the difference between 0%. Very soft. The pressure goes from the middle soft. Now, what I would suggest to do with the 100% hardness, to be selecting everything in the middle, not getting close to the edges. But please watch for now. So like you go here and you do it. Now later you're gonna zoom in really close. And you will, when you finish both legs and you leave the edges open, you switch to 0% hardness. Very soft. That's too big of a brush. And I'm changing my brush size, kind of fit this size. I'm using my left or right brackets for the size. And I go around soft, even smaller, because you don't want to have very sharp edge. Pixels will come up really bad. Okay, it will come up like something is chopped off. Right. Then notice I'm still overlapping a little bit outside. Then you switch to go to white at the end, and you erase, which you're really not erasing. You unmask anything that is outside the red on the white. Because if you do go on the white and you later bring it over, all the white will be showing in the finished image. It's very visible, right? So I'm going to do this at the same time so you can watch me. I'm starting with hard brush. Oh, black is my foreground. A bit bigger than this. And I can zoom out and go. I'm not touching the edges when I do this. But you see what happens to it when it's 100%? You see how it's kind of like this? That is why you want to go soft at the edges. Otherwise your leg will look like Jello or something. And you can be very quick. Okay. Now make sure you have black selected and it's very solid black, not transparent. It's just a little bit transparency. I mean, you need to see the shoe, because otherwise the selection will come up transparent. So make sure your top, opacity, and flow are 100%. Okay, and that's what I do. I keep going, select it. Oops, I hit the mic. Hopefully nobody forgets me. Oh, that's too close to the edge. So I keep selecting it. Right now, like I said, because the other brush, the soft brush, is so soft, when you get to the edge, you want to make sure, sometimes you may have to write, a few times, select a few times. But right now I'm just still doing this. I think that's fine. Okay, I'm gonna switch. This is how much I have done right now, and I'm gonna be switching now to the edges for a soft brush. Okay, notice I didn't touch the edges, only the ones I show in the demo. So 0% hardness now, and much smaller brush. Now please keep in mind when you're doing a soft brush, the highest strength is in the middle. So you want to make sure the size of the brush is close to the area you're feeling. Otherwise you have to go over it a few times. So make sure you might be doing that a few times, okay? It will show up as transparent if you don't. I may not do as precise selection. I've done this shoe 4 times now. Once at home for the example, and then at other labs. So. Don't worry if you're red, you go into the white, because again, if you switch it to white, you can erase it out at the end. Oops, got too much out. Just selecting. And that's the quiet part. Again, zoom in when you go into the edges so you can actually see it well. And it's better to be not selecting the whole thing than going over the white, because white will show more. I don't know if you can see that on a projector, but when you look, pay attention to your brush when you're doing at 0% hardness at the end, because mine is very transparent, so I have to go a few times over this area. You can just go once, I just have to keep going, otherwise it will be transparent. Because it shows up as more transparent. Now where you are done, and what you want to do at the end, when you go around the image, you want to zoom in even more and switch to white and see if anything falls outside, any of the red falls on the white, and then remove that. Kind of clean it up. Specifically here, you see where the shoes meet? I made my brush really tiny and white so I don't have this showing incorrectly. It's a good idea to, even if you don't think you have anything white selected, just go with a very tiny brush around the edges and have it set to white. Just to clean it up. Just touching this up here. I'm gonna just keep erasing it and I pause it for now. Okay, so I am done with my selection, and then we need to show it up as a selection because we're done with masking actually. That'll be the next part. Okay, so now I'm gonna switch on the back, again Q on your keyboard or this button back. So it shows you the selection. And you can go around, make sure you see the marching ends going around, okay? Your legs, not your legs, but you know, the legs you're working on. Mine looks pretty good. Now, so if we unmask this, what is masked? We're hidden the legs. So what is selected is actually everything but the legs. We selected the background. And you can see that if I move it, it's moving the background. You see what I mean? So it's not moving everything. So in that case, I'm just gonna do select, inverse selection. So do select, inverse. Now you can see, if I move it, everything but, now if you have something like this outline, when you move it, that's good. You wanna have show some of the edges. If you don't, that means you selected some of the white. Now I'm gonna do Command Z, undo it so it goes back into place. So now this selection is temporary selection, okay? Because once I deselect it, don't do that, and I can't use it again. So what I need to do, I want to store as a permanent selection. So I undid it. You will go into your channels. So you should have your channels by your layers right there. Those are called alpha channels. Alpha because they work with opacity as well as with color. Everybody got the channels? We have RGB channels. Now, in the bottom of it, click on Create New Channel. This is what it should be. Now, right now, everything is masked out. This is not what we want. When I wrote those instructions, I wrote them in the summer, so one step is missing, 2015. We need to show it. We need to show the white in the middle because we want to mask out everything else, right? So make sure white is your foreground color. Again, make sure you are in that layer. Make sure you are in that specific channel. Make sure white is the foreground. Now go ahead and navigate to, you see the gradient tool? click on it and select the Paint Bucket tool. Okay. I'm still pausing on it, so in the back you can see Paint Bucket under the Gradient tool. And then click on that to fill it with white. And that's what you should have for now. Next, rename the Alpha 1 and call it Legs. And then when you are done, click back on the RGB channel. Make sure Legs is not selected. This is what happened if you had Legs selected too. You get this pink overcast. Okay, so what you want to do is deselect the Legs. Okay. And the next thing, just click Command D. Command D will deselect everything. Next thing, when I click on my RGB, we will go to the layers and I'll show you how they work. So go to your layers. Now, right now, we deselected, so I'll show you how you, for your next assignment, how you can load that selection that you can always use until, well, you move things around and you can't. So select your background again, layer, and then go under select and go to load selection on the top menu. Load selection. Right. Always check what document. This is the document. Always check the channel. Sometimes it will give you a different channel. I don't know why it does that. It does that. So Legs is my channel. That's the one I created, right? Then do OK. And voila, the selection is loaded back. This is just for practicing how you load it. Okay? So it's permanent. So now what we can do is we will go ahead and copy this selection into new layer, and you can do it by clicking Command or Control if you're at home, J as Jason, and you should have layer 1. Go ahead and rename layer 1, name it Legs. Okay. Then click on the background, unlock it, click once on the lock, and go ahead and delete it. Right. Delete. Good? All right. We're going to do more things in a minute. Go ahead, change the canvas size, not the image size. We want to affect the image. So under Image, top menu, click, so image, everybody with me? Canvas size. Okay. The size we're doing is the width is 8. The height is 6. And distribution will be all around. Do okay. So this is what you should have. Floating legs. Okay. Next, I want you to create a new layer, and we will name it background. So go ahead and create a new one. Okay, so now new layer, go ahead and create that background layer. Call it the layer 1 now, call it background. And I want you to move the background, drag it below the legs. So when you create it, just drag it down. Okay. Everybody good? And now I want you to choose any color for the foreground. Any color you want. Make sure it's kind of visible. I'm going to do this one. And using the paint bucket, and we used already, fill that layer like that. And you can see if it's white or anything imperfect. So fill that out. And then we're going to move to the next part.